So you're still awaiting your sentencing. How much time do you get sentenced to? And then, like, how did you feel when you got sentenced? And then begin to take us into the journey of your incarceration and what prison you went to. What was your prison experience like? Go ahead and take us there.
For sure. Um, so yeah, I was fighting first degree murder, um, trying to put everything together to get an attorney. So I was just rolling with a public defender, and she's like, "I can get you a deal right now, second degree murder, 15 to life." I'm like, "That don't sound like a deal."
Yeah.
So eventually got my attorney, and like started fighting my case, and ended up taking a deal for 11 years with the knife. They dropped the knife enhancement, so I just took 11 years for voluntary manslaughter. Took 2 years. I was in county jail for 22 months. Anyone who's done any time in county, like that's a long time to,
That's
you
hard
know,
time right there.
that's hard time, right? Like everybody was like, oh, can't wait to get to prison, right? And like on one end, like sounds cool, but you hear a lot of like horror stories about prison, you know what I mean? And I kind of had it made in that county jail. But you know, I ended up taking 11 years. The DA actually offered me 7 years with two strikes. And I had turned that down. Two strikes in California, three strike law. Like, I knew, I actually, like, I told my attorney, I said, ask my mom. Like, I'm not cool with two strikes, but 7 years sounds good. Probably do five, get out.
Explain that real quick. Whenever you say the two strike rule, that means if you get in trouble twice after that incarceration, they give you life?
No, so you got the three strike law. And
Okay.
so three felonies, you're struck out. You could possibly do life in prison. It don't
Uh-huh.
matter if it's violent or not. I
Yeah.
got homies right now serving life sentences for petty burglary,
Yeah.
stealing a backpack,
Yeah.
36 years to life,
Yeah.
just because they done it three times or something similar. So when they had offered me 7 years with two strikes, I'm going to maximum security. I'm still like a knucklehead,
Yeah.
get in a fight, break someone's nose, anything.
And you're
Like
23 at this time,
I'm
right?
23, so like that's a third strike,
Yeah.
and so I ended up taking the 11 years with one strike, and uh, yeah, went off to state prison, California State Prison. They shot me out to Tracy, which is like the reception center. So anytime you leave county jail and you're sentenced to California Department of Corrections, you go to a reception center, and then you sit there from anywhere from 90 days to 6 months, sometimes a year, depending if you get in trouble and you go to the hole in and out. Um, and I was only there for about 90 days or so.
It's like a transition prison before
Yep.
you get to your permanent spot.
Yep. They take you
Yeah.
there. They take you, do all your medical stuff, evaluate you how many points you have. So depending on how many points you have, that determines what level you are. So I was at level 4, which is max. Level 1, fire camp, minimum security is level 1. 2 is medium minimum. And then level 3 is like medium max, and then 4 is max. So they had shot me from Tracy State Prison to Pleasant Valley State Prison, Corcoran State Prison. Then I went off to Pleasant Valley State Prison, and I did probably 2 years at Pleasant Valley. And I remember when I went through Corcoran. So Corcoran's like the shoe. Pelican
Mhm.
Bay and Corcoran are like where all the like, there's gang members all throughout the state, but like all the validated like the security housing units at Corcoran. And so guys been stuck there for 10, 15, 20 years, just
Mhm.
slammed. And so it's like we call it like uh the post office
Yeah.
for the prison system, because anybody who's going through there who's GP and is going to be shooting out to a main line, like whether it's correctional staff or porters, incarcerated people who are like porters,
Mm.
they're going to get you kites. They're going to get you messages to, hoop up and take to whatever prison you're going to.
Mm.
So
Explain that a little bit for the viewer who doesn't understand what you're talking about. Just real briefly, give us a rundown of what that is, what that means.
so like
And like kites and like the porters carrying it, like
yeah.
explain what that is.
So like a kite is basically like a message. It could be a hit. It could be instructions on where to send money. You know what I mean? A lot of the times it's hits. Someone who needs to be whacked or someone who needs to go. And so, you shoot it. If you're locked in a cell, for the people who are slammed, like the validated gang members who were slammed in the shoe in the hole at Corcoran, Like that, they usually will probably shoot it to a cop, and then the cop will give it to a porter to take to another yard, and then somehow they find out the bus routes and who's going to what prison. And so, you know, the night before I'm leaving, dude shows up. Hey, you're going to Pleasant Valley tomorrow. Take this, give this to whoever has the keys for the yard. Whoever has the keys for the yards, obviously the shot caller.
Mm-hmm.
You know not to like open it, right? Like, you know, you don't want to see what's on it. You're definitely curious, right? But like, you know, if you're loyal to the game, you're just putting in your work and passing it to the next guy, right? And so
Let me interrupt you real quick.
yeah.
Are you affiliated at this point?
So in California, like if you're white, pretty much if you're GP, you're affiliated with someone, right?
General population.
Yeah, if you're GP, right, like you're affiliated.
Yeah.
So like I just roll, you know, with the whites, but like I mean they're you know labeled a security threat group, you know, and you got the skinheads, you got the AB, you got different factions inside it. But at the end of the day, on the prison yard, whites, blacks, Mexicans, north and south, you got your northerners and your southerners, and then you got your others. Like that's all. So everything's broke down, and if anything hits in between races, like everybody's going. So yeah, like you're linked up. And
Were you affiliated on the streets, or did your ties only come to whenever you got sentenced to
so I
prison?
roll like I had a lot of people that I rolled with like in the motorcycle world, like motorcycle gang world, but like not actually, you know what, I had a lot of people that were affiliated to some prison gangs, but I never linked up. Like I just kind of rolled solo.
So whenever you caught your when you caught your bid, you already knew kind of
I was gamed
you
up.
already knew what you were looking to
Yep.
face whenever you went in prison. So you kind of just got in where you fit in. You knew
Yep.
that you would be, you know, like getting affiliated, you know, like you mentioned with whites and all
Yep.
that. So you just kind of, you know, just went ahead and went through the process that you already knew you was about to take.
Yeah, for sure. And I educated myself. Like I know I'm about to go do at minimum 10 years. So I'm educating myself, whether it's reading, whether it's, you know, writing. You know, I had access to the streets, you know, while I was in county. So I just educated myself, and it's crazy because I look like this. I was tattooed up before I got to prison. So like, you know, it's crazy because like looks and like everything's like a popularity game, right? So like if you look the part, like people just assume it, and like I wasn't BSing, I wasn't lying, but like you want to like lean on me and like, you know, give me extra favor because I look like I'm a regular, like cool, like I'm gonna manipulate you and stay comfortable and safe, right? So it's a game, right? It's a mind game, right? It's a psychological warfare. Most of it's psychological warfare. You just always got to be on your toe thinking like, how are you going to get through this I called it like a treacherous soap opera.
Yeah.
Like people just get killed though, stabbed and killed, like politicking in California. And so anyways, like I get to Pleasant Valley, and my first experience on the main line on the yard, I shoot the kite that I took from Corcoran to Pleasant Valley, shoot it out, it gets to, you know, who it needed to get to. And so you're on orientation. So it took me about 10 days. I'm locked in the cell, and then they clear you to go out to yard. And as soon as you hit the yard, you show them your paperwork, make sure, you know, you ain't, you know, actually as soon as I came off the bus while I'm in orientation, you know, I shouted out my paperwork to the yard. They brought it back, and they're just making sure you ain't a rat, you ain't a sex offender, no weird stuff like that. And so when I finally was able to hit the yard, he was actually a P9 skinhead. He had the keys to the yard. He spun some laps at me. He's like, hey, so thank you for bringing that one time, that kite. He said, did you read it? I said, nah, man, you know how it is, right? And he said, okay. He said, well, over the next couple of days, you're gonna see some people disappear, and that was what you delivered. It was basically a hit, right?
Yeah.
And so sure enough, right, seen couple stabbings take place, and like it's crazy because like naturally, like people don't, it's not like natural instinct to watch, or not watch, but like be excited to see someone get stabbed or that type of stuff. So like there's this guilt and this shame, like man, like I want to know more. Like, why is this dude getting? You know, what's the real reason of him getting
Story
stabbed,
behind
right?
it. Yeah.
And I remember the one, man, like I still like think of it. And it's like, man, like that was crazy. Like there was a softball game going out on the yard, and like everybody's just like normal softball game. So anybody who's listening, like just think like being out at the softball field, playing a little adult softball, everybody's having fun. And then, a little bit into the game, like the energy just like evaporated and everything's like still people are going through the motions playing, but like started looking around like this is weird. And next thing you know, like you look over on the corner of the yard and you got two skinheads just slicing dude's throat. And then they take off running, throw the weapon down the drain, and just they're laughing. They think it's funny. Cops don't even know. Dude's over there leaking. So I'm like, man, this is real. So that is
Mm,
never gonna be me. And so like that's just kind of that's how I was introduced to prison time.
mm.
And so for the next couple of years, I just dodged and weaved and did what I had to not become a victim and not find myself in the hole. And by the grace of God, I was able to reduce my points and get shot to San Quentin, which is a level 2. Um, and I thought life was going to be good once I hit a level 2, but God had something else in mind for me.
All right. So, your entrance into prison, just complete culture shock. You see you in the middle of gangland, it's going down.